My name is Sheila Hill, and I'm an intuitive life coach and a spiritual guide. Welcome to my channel. Today's video, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about timelines, collective timelines and personal timelines, and what it means to collapse timelines, to choose higher timelines where you default, and all sort of everything that has to do with time. And I'm going to start the video by telling you that the concept of linear time that we operate as, through, and with one another here in this human form actually doesn't exist. So it's about time, and then I'm going to tell you that time doesn't exist. So let's get right to it. In any given now moment where you are manifesting from one now to the next now, you have an infinite number of timelines available to you when you move forward in your life from one moment to the next moment. And that whole range, that array of infinite number of possible timelines that you could connect into when you move from one now to the next now has a range from sort of what you would call your lower, more dense timelines up to your higher timelines. So I would say that the lower timelines would be something that was very ego-driven, very service to self, full of self-sabotage, programming, anything that's sort of attached to a lower vibrational density thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. And then we move all the way up to the more higher timelines that I would say would be more in line with your soul purpose, with your divine path, more enlightened ways of thinking and being, more higher vibrational thoughts and beliefs. That's sort of your divine timeline, the optimal one. And then we have everything in between. So in any given moment, any now that you manifest from now to the next now, you are connecting into a timeline in your future, a potentiality that has this range between the lower density all the way up to the higher, more enlightened timelines. So ideally, the goal is that we would like, as humans, to always default to our most divine aligned timeline. Now, wouldn't that just be awesome if that was the case? And it is possible, but here's what needs to happen. So this is my little prop for today because my children are all grown and I don't have anything else to use. So this is you. This is you facing forward in your life with an entire array of possible timelines that are available to you. The reason that you don't automatically default from a now moment into your most aligned, divine, enlightened timeline is because you have what I call timeline bungee cords from your past attached to your back. These timelines are pulling you back through memory, through trauma held within the body, through energetic beliefs, thoughts, patterns, unconscious programming. These bungee cords are holding you back and making it more and more difficult for you to be able to choose, align yourself, and move forward through your most aligned divine timeline. And depending on how many of these bungee cords you have on your back of past timelines, of events, of trauma, of loss, grief, past relationships that are not resolved, these are all these timelines that are on your back. And depending on how many you have, you may always be defaulting into a lower density timeline and not ever being able to reach the higher one. So how do we get rid of these bungee cords? By doing our personal work, by allowing the purging, by recognizing when you have a memory that you continue to feed, a story you continue to tell, a wounding that you continue to talk about, or even just the fact that you know that you have a behavior or an unconscious program that you know that you are running on a regular basis. Those are all indications of events, timelines, trauma, and energies that need to be healed and released. And when you heal and release that timeline, so say you have 5 or 50 attached to your back, when you actually heal that event and come to peace with that event so that it can be fully released and that energetic timeline can be closed, the bungee cord, as I call them, is released. And then the next one is released, and the next one is released till the point where you have no past timeline events that are still seeping energy from your now back to keep them alive. They're gone, and you are now freer to be able to be in a place where you are aligned to your higher timeline moving forward because you don't have these events pulling you back. So doing your healing work, your release work, excuse me, forgiveness work, and it's always forgiveness for self first, is so, so important in collapsing those timelines, because you end up healing and releasing and collapsing the timeline not only for yourself, but you also heal it, release it, and collapse that timeline for any other people that were also involved. So, for example, say that I had a client that had gone through a divorce, and this person was still talking about what kind of a person her husband was to be married to, the way he treated her, the way his mother treated her, whatever. Like, say that there's still an ongoing sort of story that's being run. And as long as that story's there, it is probably tainting the potentiality that she has with other forms of relationships, whether it be friendships or romantic relationships. So you're kind of staining both timelines, but it creates a leak. So if you are perceived to be whole in any given moment, and you're still running a memory of a trauma, an event, a relationship, a situation, that is from your past, then you are actually leaking energy into that past timeline, which stops you from being full capacity in the now. When you heal and release, in the case of this client, when she heals herself and releases herself, forgives herself and loves herself through the healing process and the grief and the forgiveness work and all the stuff that goes with the collapse of a marriage or a significant relationship, then she will not only free herself from that timeline, but the timeline will collapse completely, and she will also free all other players, including, say, her ex-husband, from that timeline as well. So it's really, really important for you to do this work so that your goal is moving forward from one now to the next now, that you are more and more able, the more work you do, the more you clear, that you can default to your more higher aligned divine timeline. Now, we have these personal timelines, which I've just explained, but we also have, as a collective of all the humans on Earth, a collective timeline in multiplicity as well. Numerous timelines are being run at the same time. And as we move into 5D New Earth, which is what this entire ascension process is all about, the new Earth will have one organic timeline. And it will be on the basis of unconditional love and peace and abundance. And it will be exactly what we all thought we signed up for when we came here, on the most part. So let me explain just a little bit about how collective timelines work and how they have an energetic effect on the collective. So the best example that I was able to come up with is, let's talk a little bit about what life would have been like post-World War II. So in we'll call it 1946, and the number of years after that, and I'm going to show you it actually was a number of generations after that, that those timelines continued. Many people, most people, let's just say, post-war were dealing with grief, loss of loved ones, loss of life, loss of jobs, lots of loss. So there's grief, there was trauma, there was poverty, there was scarcity, there was lack, there was so much playing through the minds and hearts of the people post-war that it became an ongoing part of their reality. So to show you generationally how global collective occurrences can have an effect on timelines, on the collective and on personal, we're going to bring that timeline forward to, we're going to say 1950. My mom was born in 1950 in Scotland, post-war, by two parents that had been a part of the war efforts. She then grew up in a family where scarcity and lack was a big part of their day-to-day living. Then she became, 25 years later, she became a parent who eventually became a single mom. And she had quirky little things that prove to me now when I look back, and she's gone, when I look back at my upbringing, I'm like, she always saved the milk bags, and she always saved the elastics off the mail, and anything that maybe could be fixed or could be useful even just for parts was saved, because if it wasn't good for her to use, then someone might need it. And that's a real indication of being in poverty lack consciousness or scarcity consciousness. Now that passed on to me because I eventually became a single mom myself. And I gradually, as I awakened and began to observe myself, that I was doing a lot of the same, running a lot of the same programs that she had been running. So if you imagine that one situation that I've just shared from a huge collective event like a world war being passed down through families and generations and belief systems about a very common energetic template such as poverty lack consciousness, it just goes to show you how that takes generations for a timeline such as that to collapse. Through the ascension efforts, through the light workers, through the grid keepers and the way showers, and you, if you don't find that you fall under any of those labels, by doing your work and the fact that we don't talk about the war anymore, not so much, and that we are becoming more and more aware of our own internal patterns, and we are releasing those thought processes and moving forward in the mind of love and abundance and safety and security, we're collapsing timelines on a collective level as well as a personal level. And that is how we are manifesting the new earth. So, just a quick video today. I just wanted to explain to you and give you sort of another visual to be able to understand that you never did anything wrong. And really, all of your aligned divine timelines are there waiting for you in the future. All you need to do is get rid of those bungee cords on your back. And that's what the personal work is all about. It's very powerful. When you do the work, you help your ancestors, you help the other people that are connected to the timeline that you're working through, and you are helping the collective. So keep doing your work. If you need help, guidance, or support, I'm always available to take more one-on-one clients. I appreciate you watching this video today. There's lots and lots of content here in my channel. Click subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to address them in the comments. Thank you so much, and until next time, bye-bye.